Hi, I'm Rick Halsey. I'm the director of the California Chaparral Institute. It's a research and educational outfit that tries to help people reconnect with nature and enjoy the natural environment around them. And it also helps people learn how to live in a fire-prone environment, which California definitely has. So we're going to talk about two things today. One, a really innovative solution to how to protect your homes from fire. And secondly, and most importantly, about nature and what's around you. Because nature provides so many wonderful benefits, and sometimes in our busy lives we forget those. So let's go. So the thing to remember is homes primarily ignite from wind-driven embers, not flame fronts. Wind-driven embers. They can travel up to 2 miles ahead of the fire front. And the best way to prevent that from happening is making the surfaces of your home and the little cubbies impermeable to ignition, and that happens by making them wet, because wet homes won't burn. And the way to do that is by exterior sprinklers. Here's a little system that's pretty cheap. I got this for about $200 from Tom Schiller. He's got a little outfit up in Murphy's, California. I think it's called Bathroom Machineries. And he gets this from Wasp, which is a Canadian company. But essentially what it is, it's 2 sprinklers, which is right here, 2 misters. And you've got a temporary hose that connects to the hose at the ground. You can substitute that for something more permanent, of course. And you turn this on and it hydrates the entire area. As you can see, these sprinklers are pretty effective. They go all the way to the middle of the house, and there's another one on the other end that does the same thing. So it's hydrating the entire environment. So as you can see, the mister is spraying a fine mist all the way around the house, so it not only gets the house itself moist, but the surrounding environment. And what that does is it raises the humidity, and that's a additional fire safety variable, is humidity. So if you increase that, you reduce the chance of ignition. So here we have the whole setup. We've got a sprinkler on that end and a sprinkler on this end, and they're both powered by 2 little temporary hoses. You could put permanent, like PVC pipe up or whatever, and it's getting the entire area around the house, including me. So when I talk about exterior sprinklers, I get a lot of comments about how it's not going to work and there's a lot of problems with it. And so what you need to do is think of this situation like you would a moon launch. You sit around and you figure out ways to make it work rather than how it can't work. And that's how we got to the moon, and that's how we can make homes fire safe. So the water pressure does go down or sometimes completely off in fire situations. So you want to have your own independent water source. That could be your backyard pool or a water tank, which isn't that expensive considering the expense of losing a home. So then you get your own independent freestanding water pump, either gas powered or diesel. And you have the whole thing set up and you practice it once a year. It's sort of like a fire drill. And you get the thing set up where it's ready to go when there's a fire. And you need about 30 minutes to get the whole system up and running and the area saturated enough for it to be effective. And the thing to remember, like the Woolsey fire, for example, several years ago in Malibu, they had a whole day to do this kind of a thing before the fire hit Malibu, after it started. So oftentimes there's plenty of time to think about preparing your homes with hydration and exterior sprinklers. As we create beautiful, safe, enjoyable environments for our family and our friends, conducive to conversation and good times, you also want to think about your surrounding environment. And it isn't just a landscape thing when you throw a few plants. What's around me right here is a former lawn that I've restored into a native habitat with native plants, which have attracted native animals. So when I walk out here in the morning with my coffee, I'm smelling and experiencing things that they've been here for thousands of years. So it provides me a sense of place that you just can't get any other way. So let's take a look at what we have. Embracing nature has all sorts of benefits. Right here is a red harvester ant nest. It's the native ant for this area, and most people are thinking, oh my gosh, there's ants, I've got to get rid of them. No, these are the natives, and they do so many wonderful things for the plants and the animals that are here as well. So let's take a look at what's going on down here. So as you look here at all these crazy ant movements, and just sort of watch it for a while and study them. And just, oh, there's a male with the wings. You see him? He's wondering, what do I do? What do I do? So nature just then and there surprised you. That's what you're looking for in your habitat, in your backyard that you've created. You've created opportunities for nature to surprise. And that's the best part of a native habitat that's right next to your house, being surprised. So if you look at individual flowers, like that one there, that's a Bumble Bee. And these little flowers are like little gathering places for lots of different insects. The native bees typically have a lot longer antennae than the European honeybees, which there's a lot of here. But what an array of diversity. So this is a monkey flower. It's a pretty common native plant that you can put in your backyard. It has a fun little characteristic. That little white thing there is the female stigma, and when it's touched by a hummingbird or a bee, watch what happens. It closes right up. Isn't that a fascinating thing? This is a fun plant. This is a Cenotes, one of the characteristic chaparral shrubs. And what I love about this are the seed pods. There's 3 little seeds in this capsule, and over the summer it'll dry, and eventually it'll dry so much it changes the way the shape of the pod is, and the seeds pop out. And I was gardening out in my yard not too long ago, and I was underneath one of these things. I kept hearing this little and then shortly thereafter I'd get hit in the head by a little seed. So these things can shoot several feet beyond the plant's base and distribute themselves that way. But anyway, it's one of the most interesting chaparral shrubs. This is a manzanita, Arctostaphylos refugiensis in particular. And all manzanitas have an interesting flower behavior. You think these are flower buds, and in fact they are, but they're nowhere near getting ready to blossom. They're forming right now, and then they'll shut down during the summer months, and then they'll open up when it gets wet again in January or so. So these are called nascent inflorescences, or sort of hibernating flower buds. And that's an adaptation to the dry environment that we have in California. That's just another nature surprise. To attract the birds, what you want to do in your native habitat, you want to put all sorts of seeds in a little platform. I built this myself. This is better than the ones you can buy because it allows the birds to get in here without getting trapped sometimes inside of those little seed feeders. But anyway, there's cashews, there's black sunflower seeds. The finches love these, also the titmice. So the name of all these birds, if you have a little bird book or a binocular set, what starts happening, you get familiar with the most common birds, and all of a sudden you'll be sitting watching the birds in your yard and a new one will show up that you hadn't seen before. And that's another example how nature can surprise you, and it feels good to be surprised. And the only way you are is because you know it belongs, and if something shows up that's different, that's the magic of it all. Here's a wonderful story that a lot of people don't know about. These are both baccharuses. This is Baccharis pileolaris, and this is Baccharis erythroides. And the Latin names are kind of fun. You don't necessarily have to know them. Chaparral broom is sort of the generic name for both these plants. But the fun thing is, these are either female or male, and I can't tell because there's no flowers right now, but this will have either male flowers or female flowers, depending on what kind of sex it is, and vice versa over here too. So 2 different species, both do this kind of weird male and female plant division, which most people don't even know about. It's something you discover when you really like botany. So the lesson out in nature really is it helps you connect with where we came from. I mean, we evolved in nature for millions of years, and we've only been doing this civilized building home thing for the last 10,000 years at the most. So we're still hardwired to live out here. So what's important is sometimes you just can't go to a wild natural environment, but you can create one around your house. And it isn't something to be afraid of. It isn't like a lot of people call native plants and nature in general just fuel. That's not helpful, and it's not. It's a living thing. It provides habitat and homes for animals, and it provides you a way to reconnect with your ancestral past. So when you go outside and you've got this habitat, you can, in a sense, connect with your history. You can find yourself by losing yourself in nature.